Hardcore Lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. A little bit early into the week. It's actually Monday, and I'm actually helping out Lonnie, who actually was the first to jump on a fill-in because Corey's got some serious moving today, so we will miss him today. But I decided to get a hold of Lonnie and just see if I couldn't not. It's been a while since I've done a fill-in, and so I wanted to do one. I've just been in the mood for 70s era films, and especially in light of those films that came after Jaws that tried to identify themselves as such. And so it is week 333, and I'm your normal Wednesday night reviewer doing a fill-in here on Monday for Corey. And the film I want to take a look at, as you can see right behind me, is Grizzly from 1976. A film from a director that I don't really know this guy, William Girdler. He has two movies that he directed that most of you will probably recognize. Three on a Meat Hook. Seems like not too long ago there was some chatter about that film. I've never seen it, but that was from 72. And in 77, of course, most of us at least have heard of the film, The Day of the Animals. He also directed that one. And so he's no stranger to the genre, as they say. And but Grizzly was an attempt to really cash in. I think it's the first one that really tries to cash in in a pretty serious way on the whole Jaws phenomena that was just taking the country by storm. And now, I don't know, it's been about a year, I think, but at the time I ordered the 88 release of Grizzly. I don't believe there was a U.S. release of Grizzly. Now, I did not check just pre this review. So you may be able to get Grizzly now pretty easy. But this is a film that, you know, I had a lot of fun revisiting it the other night. And of course, right off the top of the list, Christopher George is in it. And if you know Christopher George from The Gates of Hell or City of the Living Dead, Lucio Fulci, man, he's awesome in this thing. Now, it's funny, this movie really strives hard. It is all in his name, or in its name, Grizzly. We got to kill a grizzly, which is tagged as the Jaws on land, and tearing up a national forest just as tourist season opens up. And of course, Christopher George plays Ranger Michael Kelly. He's our Brody character. Andrew Prine plays a character, Don Stober. He's officially their helicopter pilot, and he's our Hooper character, who's enlisted by Kelly, Ranger Kelly. And of course, what would a Jaws ripoff not be without your Quint character? Of course, Richard Jaeckel plays Arthur Scott. He's the guy who's out there wandering around in the woods dressed up as a bear, keeping tabs on the bears. Of course, there's an attempt to get all the bears out of the area before the tourists come in. And Kelly, our Brody character, when he enlists him, of course, catches him in the act of following after a deer family. And so you really have your Brody, your Hooper, and your Quint character. Now, there's going to be a few spoilers. This is a 1976 film. And the spoiler I'm going to get into, I just want to tie it into Jaws in a weird way. You know, it does in many aspects cash in structurally wise in terms of, you know, just the setup in the beginning. You know, like Jaws, we have our girl out on the water. Here you have two hikers who've been staying at a cabin, and they're now just packing up to head on out, and they will be attacked very early on in the film. But we're introduced actually first to our Hooper character as he's in a helicopter flying over the wilderness and talking to someone he's got in the helicopter just about the history of the forest, and just kind of giving us a little bit of a interesting environmental backdrop, or more geographic backdrop to kind of the situation that we're going to be dropped into. And then eventually, it doesn't take long before we meet up with Kelly, and ultimately won't take too long. Once these two hikers are attacked and their bodies found, the whole, you know, it just, those three are brought together in your Hooper, Brody, Quint style, and they go out and begin. Now, you also have your mirror character, Dorsey, I think is the guy who plays, and we've seen a lot of movies. He plays the mayor character who does not want to shut the park down, of course, in light of this prehistoric. Now, it's believed by Arthur that what they're looking for is a prehistoric bear of types. This thing is like 18 feet tall, 2,000 pounds. It actually, in reality, is played by an 11-foot bear, but with camera angles and everything, it can make it look pretty just awe-inspiring. I mean, this bear looks really intimidating. Like, I would not want to be anywhere near this thing. And so you have a lot of interesting setups. I just had an image from Prine come into my head. I've been watching that over the weekend too, both in light of the Jaws phenomena, right? But a lot of interesting things. You got, just like Jaws, where the fishermen will be unleashed on the water to try to hunt down. Hunters will be unleashed into the forest, at least for a period of time, in which case we have a great chase scene involving one hunter who gets chased by the grizzly. But he'll live by jumping off into the river and get swept to safety. This film is also known for, the bear is sort of doing this huge, we find out later, this huge circular pattern. And he'll actually wander into a home, a property, where, like the boy on the raft in Jaws, which might have been the most intimidating or most terrifying moment, the fact that you would allow a small little boy to be eaten by the shark. We have a small little boy fall into the grip of the grizzly, which is pretty terrifying. And when the mom intervenes, she's able to get the boy away, but the grizzly turns on her and ultimately kills her. And it's quite a terrifying scene. And that's the other thing I want to say. This movie is surprising. Of course, if you get the 88 release, or if you find another Blu-ray release of the film, most likely you're gonna see it uncut. And this movie, I saw this movie at the drive-in when I was real little. I just remember as a family seeing it. And then seeing, of course, like a lot of movies back in the late 70s, early 80s, the Monday night, ABC Monday Night at the Movies, or the NBC Monday Night at the Movies, back in the Sunday Night at the Movies. Back in the day when some of these movies came in prime time for special TV events. I don't remember this movie. I don't remember some of the nudity, and I do not remember it is violent. This movie does get violent in places, and maybe it's just the uncut edition that's out there floating around, which, I have, I would imagine it's uncut because there's things in here I just do not remember. And it makes for, it's funny with 70s, some 70s films just, they have a hard time staying, with the time as the time moves. Jaws has no problem, I don't think. Jaws is a movie I hope never gets, ever gets remade. And Grizzly and Piranha, I mean, those are films that really, I know Piranha got remade and whatnot. I mean, these are really, when you revisit them and, and it's been a long time, Grizzly really holds its own, I think. It is a fun movie. And even though there's so much of the Jaws thing going on in here, it does take itself pretty serious. And as far as Jaws, it's interesting. It ties itself in, and I'll probably just start wrapping this up here. I had a lot of fun revisiting this thing, rewatching it the other day, remembering Christopher George. Of course, is a great finale in the end. A bit cheesy probably for today's standards, but fun nonetheless. It's awesome. But the movie ties itself into the novel of Jaws in ways that Jaws departs, which is interesting. You got those three main characters, right? You got the Brody, the Hooper, and you got of course, the Quint character. And in the novel Jaws, both Hooper and Quint both ultimately fall prey to the shark. And, Brody almost does, if not for the shark just finally giving in to its injuries and dying just short from getting his mouth on Brody. That's the novel. But in this movie, those two main principal characters, the Hooper character, the Quint character, also fall victim to the grizzly. But like the movie, it's left for our ranger, our Brody character, in quite an spectacular fashion. I'll not say how. He takes down the grizzly in just awesome fashion. And so it's interesting when you really do dive in, and it would be an interesting, I think, revisiting Jaws via the novel, and then watching Grizzly. And it's interesting, probably interesting to pick up on some of the things that Grizzly actually capitalizes on the novel rather than in some part the film. Although, to some respect, there's even that, one of the scenes I love in Jaws, one of my favorite scenes is the two guys out on the dock that throw the meat. You've even got a scene like that involving a baby cub bear that they believe, the guys who have it believe it's actually the cub of the killer bear, which is not. And you have that whole scene unfold. And so, I mean, it really does pay some strong homage, but from a creative way, it also looks at, I think, there's no real extras on the 88 release to speak of. There's an interview with passing of Christopher George as a trailer, but there's nothing really to sink your teeth into. These are some things you just got to pick up having read Jaws and whatnot, and tie some of these things together in an interesting way. But 1976, week 333. I'm just on a 70s kick right now, and some kind of post Jaws kick in a way. But which Wednesday I'll be looking at Prine, by the way, which will be fun all of it itself. But from 76, Grizzly, what did you think of this first attempt to cash in on the Jaws phenomenon? Has it been a while since you've seen it? Check it out if you haven't. And if you do get a chance, look at the Jaws novel in light of what I've said. It's interesting. I think it's not just a straight cliche sort of let's copy Jaws. I think some thought was put into this. And those three guys, all three principal characters, really do a good job in this movie. And they do make it fun, especially Christopher George's character as the park ranger. And the mayor character actually adds in his own little wrinkle. He's somewhat fun to watch too. But Grizzly from 1976 on your fill-in Monday review. VHS82 apostrophe. Check me out on Wednesdays. I bring the normal Wednesday night review, continuing a 70s era theme. As always, I know it's the off season, but holy crap, where those Titans come from. Go Bills.